Today we are issuing a letter to Mr. Newman George, Chairman of Paria Fuel Trading Company, to ensure that he, as a chairman, preserve all the evidence that would have been available on that fateful day, evidence from before that day, evidence after that day. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to be very realistic that sometimes evidence can be lost, to put it mildly. Evidence can be distorted, because at the very end of this, the country needs to know the truth of what transpired, and more so, the families of these deceased persons and of all those who are affected by it. And we are intent, as we proceed, to take steps to bring all of these matters before a court of law, where evidence will be taken and be subject to cross-examination, and at the end of which the country will hear, but more so, the judiciary will be in a position to make assessment of the evidence and make determinations and judgments in these matters. So you have with you the letter which we are sending off today, and in that letter we have specifically indicated as a requirement that all of the evidence be preserved, and that while we appreciate the committee has been put by the government to investigate, that we be provided, that is, the representatives of the families, with all of the evidence, so that we could better furnish ourselves as we take steps to gain justice for these families. We have insisted upon the preservation and the provision of camera footage. So let's see if Paria will look at this as a way of obfuscation or some means of trying to hide the truth. This is a test. We require that anyone against whom serious allegations would have been made, that they recuse themselves from positions until the investigation also was concluded. We have evidence to support who gave the instruction. And that person, or persons, because I do not know if he acted alone, will have to account on what basis, what scientific basis they would have done that, right? Forget the humanitarian issue just for a moment. What is the logic that you will give an instruction? Well, of course there's always danger. Diving by its very nature is a very dangerous thing. And to say that there's a danger for further loss of life. Who is any administrator to say, do not go and save your dad, do not go and save your brothers, because they lived as a family? Imagine you play God with all the science, and that's the point. You make a decision that they're already dead. How could you do that? What if there was an air pocket within, as an example? Forget just the tanks that they had, which is the very source of life, the oxygen tanks. We've seen when in many other natural disasters around the world, when many have given up hope that persons are located and saved. So that determination that they were dead can only be made by a medical professional having examined the body to say it was dead. Not on a presumption. I saw Michael and my father, you will tell me not to go? Force him not to go? When Christopher is saying your dad is alive? How more godly could you feel you are to give an instruction under military guard? Life is sacred. It cannot be brought back when it is gone. If it can be preserved and rescued, we must do all things. And there were those who were willing to do that. And others were just willing to become very bureaucratic. And by bureaucracy, facilitated the untimely demise of our brothers. End of it, the law is that Paria will be ultimately liable. Right? If there is shared liability, that's another issue. But at the end, Paria is to be held accountable and responsible. But where there is a rampant example of disregard for human life and there is a responsibility, the law takes over. And if you have a duty to act, to preserve life, and you do not do so, in fact just countermand it, the law says that you are liable, not just civilly, but in certain cases, criminally.